just wanted to put out a quick video going over my tanning method. I've had a few people ask about it. I started tanning hides back when I used to raise meat rabbits, and I don't have a ton of experience with it, but I have tried 4 different methods, and the one that I tried this year has worked out the absolute best for me. In the past, I've tried salt and alum. I've tried the Deer Hunter and Trapper's orange bottle, and I've tried Neutralizing, and none of them really worked out that well for me. But this year I decided to try what's called Riddle's Easy 100. It comes in a kit with 3 different products. As you can see, these all just look absolutely beautiful. I have done muskrat, mink, possum, raccoon, skunk, and fox using this method. And I have gone ahead and even made garments out of them. Here's mittens that I made for my son. Here's a scarf I made for myself, made out of possum, and with matching mitts. These mittens here are made out of muskrat. And then I even have a vest here that I started, made out of possum fur for my daughter. I just want to go over that method with you today. It's actually like a 10-day long process. So it is time consuming. It is work, but it's just really satisfying to be able to tan your own furs. And I think the results come out really well, and it is more cost effective than if you sent them out to a tannery. And the possum vest, super soft. Just needs to be lined. See, it gives a nice whitish tan. If you don't take your time with the breaking process, you can end up with something that's a little bit stiffer like this raccoon. But it's still pliable. It would still be fine to make a hat out of, but it's not quite soft enough to make something like a blanket out of. But the good thing is I could re-wet this and put the oil on it again and try breaking it again if I really wanted to make something like that out of it. But this one is just a wall hanger for now, so I am fine with it being a little bit stiff. Here we have a muskrat. Again, completely pliable. This was one of the first ones that I tanned using this method. Mink, again, just a completely pliable. The possum that I used for the scarf, you just crumple it all the way up into a ball. It's that soft. Same with the muskrat used for these mittens. Wish there was a way you could feel how soft these are. They're just amazing. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to go over that method. And hopefully it answers some questions for you guys. Feel free to ask more questions. Feel free to give me tips if you're more experienced than me, because I know it's not perfect. But yep, that's what we're going to do. Good afternoon, everybody. I know it's been a while. I ended up going through all of my trapping season in the new year without catching anything. But I'm down here tanning some furs right now. I've already tanned up a few this year. And I'm getting ready to do my fox that I left the feet on, my second fox that I got. And I just wanted to take you along with the process so I could show you how to turn a fox like this into a beautiful tanned fox like that one. But the first thing we do is we have to rehydrate it. So I'm going to turn this camera around and show you what I do. So I just have this Gatorade bucket here. It has about 1.5 gallons of water and like half a pound of salt in it. It's not much salt, just enough to help the hide absorb the water. So I'm going to go ahead and submerge this fox. And my husband reorganized things, so I don't know where my wooden spoon is. Alright. So I'm just gonna push this down here as best as I can. and the thinner parts of the hide will start to soften up pretty quickly. Once I get it soft enough that I can have the hide fully submerged, at that point I will leave it in here for a couple hours. And I'm actually going to try to do my skunk too in this batch. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. Got this nice skunk. This is my second skunk. And this has a much thicker hide on it. I might need to add more water in here. But basically, to rehydrate the hides, you're just going to put a little bit of salt in. Some people don't even use salt to rehydrate. I think it helps though. You're just going to put a little bit of salt in the water and enough water to fully submerge them. And again, you're not going to leave these hides in there any longer than it takes for them to rehydrate, which is usually just a few hours. Okay, I got my hides soft enough that I can fully submerge them now. And I'm just going to take a heavy dinner plate, put it right on top of them to hold them down. As you can see, that water is very dirty. So after I'm done rehydrating these hides, I'm going to come in here and put fresh water in here, and I'm actually going to wash these with Tide powder detergent. This is something I've been doing with my hides, and it works really well to get them cleaned up, and helps degrease them a little bit. So I'm going to just hand wash them in here with the Tide powder detergent, maybe a little bit of Dawn, and then I will put them in the pickle. And then they will be sitting in the pickle for a few days. Okay, so I just took the furs out after they rehydrated enough that I can turn them, and I just rinsed them and put fresh water in here with just a couple of tablespoons of Tide original powder. And I'm going to just put these in here. So I just will slosh these furs around here for a while in the Tide. I'll put a little bit of Dawn in there too. Nothing scientific here, really just getting an initial clean on these. They will be washed in Dawn again later in the process to degrease. But this is just to help get the furs cleaned up and helps hydrate them a little bit more. And then after we get them rinsed out really well, we'll put them in the pickle. Alright, so I rinsed the hides really well after I washed them, and now I'm putting a whole container of salt in here. Are you going to assist me, Caleb? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to hold the salt? So I'm going to dump a whole container of salt into about 1.5 gallons of water. You're supposed to do a rate of 1 pound of salt per gallon of water. And then I'm going to use the Riddle's Easy 100 system.
Salt is still coming out.
Yeah, we got to dump the whole container in. And then after the salt is fully dissolved in the water, I'm going to put in 2 fluid ounces of the safety acid, which is part of the Riddle's Easy 100 system. So 2 ounces equals 4 tablespoons. You do have to check the pH for your own water in your own system. Make sure the pH is correct. When you buy the Riddle's Easy 100 system, it gives you instructions for that. But the 2 ounces is what works for me. Alright, so this is the safety acid that comes with the Riddle's Easy 100. I'm just going to put 4 tablespoons in. It's a thick liquid. And make sure when you're done washing your hides that you rinse them really well, so that you don't have any of that detergent left to counteract the acid. And we'll just drop our hides in, skin side out. Give them a good stir. Make sure that pickle's going to touch all sides of the hide. And then after they're stirred up, I'm going to put that plate back on them. And they're going to stay in here for several days. I'll probably leave them in for 4 or 5 days before coming back and degreasing and flushing them once again. And then they go back in the pickle, and then they get the actual tan. Alright, the hides are all immersed in the pickle here. I'm just going to put this plate on top of them to weight them and make sure that they're all the way down. And I will come in here 2 to 3 times a day and stir them just to make sure that every part of the hide is going to get that pickle. You can stay in the pickle for up to a couple weeks safely without any worries about fur slippage or anything. And I'm going to put a lid on top of this so no dirt or anything gets in. And yep, other than stirring it a couple times a day, I can pretty much ignore this for the next week or so. Okay guys, it has been 6 days that I've had these hides in the pickle. And so you can see the hides have brightened up quite a bit. There's still a lot of grease on this skunk hide, so it does look yellow. But these are fully pickled at this point, so the next step we're going to do is degreasing. I'm going to take these out and rinse them. I'm going to rinse them out really well, and then I'm going to put them back on the flushing beam, try to squeeze some of that excess grease off, and then I am going to cover them with Dawn soap. Then I'll let them sit for a little bit with that Dawn soap and put them back on the flushing beam and try to degrease them again. Now, this Riddles Easy 100 kit is meant to be used with a product called Super Solvent. I do not have Super Solvent. I didn't realize it didn't come with the kit, so I didn't get it when I got the kit. And I decided just to try using Dawn instead, which works great for my purposes. Although I'm sure if you use the Super Solvent, you would end up with an even nicer product in the end. But this is just how I do it. And then after I scrape them the second time with the Dawn soap on them, I will rinse them again and put them back in the pickle for one more day. And then we will come back and rinse them and put them in the tanning solution at that point. Okay, so all of the hides are now scraped again, and I degreased them with some Dawn. So you can see there's just a little bit of membrane left on the fox. I'm not worried about that. I'm not using this for clothing. I'm going to use it as a wall hanger. Both these items are actually going to be for wall hangers. But as you can see, at least I hope you can tell on the camera, I got a lot more grease and grizzle off of this skunk. I don't know. It looks yellow on the camera, but I promise it is a lot whiter than it was. And it's a lot lighter and thinner now, so that should come out pretty nicely. So now they're back in the pickle. I didn't draw a new pickle or anything. I just rinsed these out thoroughly. As you can see, there's still a little bit of soap in there. That's fine. So they're going to stay in this pickle for another 24 hours so that the areas that I scraped can get the pickle in them. And also, I was finally able to, see if I can find one here, take the feet and turn them on the fox as much as possible without risking the claws ripping anything. Okay, so my hides have now been in the pickle for an additional 24 hours after I degreased and flushed them again. So now I pulled them out, I rinsed them, and I have them hanging to drip dry just for a little bit while I prepare a neutralization bath. The neutralization bath is going to be 2 gallons of water and about 2 ounces of baking soda. I'm not going to measure because you really can't put too much in. So I'm just going to dissolve baking soda in there. And go ahead and put my hides in. And then here's the fun part. I have to constantly stir these hides for the next 20 minutes. So this is a good time to head on over to my channel and watch my trapping and hunting videos if you haven't already. Okay, so the hides have been neutralized. They have been rinsed thoroughly. and they are currently drating. Now I'm drawing up the tan bath. So for the tan bath, you're going to use 1 pound of salt per gallon of water and 1 ounce, which is 4 tablespoons of the tanning powder. You dissolve the salt in first, and then we'll add in the tanning powder and then the hides. This is what the tanning solution looks like. It's a very fine powder. So like I said, it's 4 tablespoons per gallon of water. So we're going to put that in, and I think I said 1 pound of salt per gallon of water, but it's actually a half a pound of salt per gallon of water for the tanning process. Okay, my tanning solution is added. Now we will stir it till it is mostly dissolved. Add our hides back in the bucket one last time. Give a good stir. Make sure that tanning solution is going to touch every part of the hide. It's a good idea to come in here and stir this a couple times while it sits in the tanning solution to make sure it fully penetrates the hide. Put my weight plate back in there. Make sure everything is fully submerged. And this will be in here for 12 to 16 hours. You do not want to leave it in the tanning solution too long. That can have negative effects on the hides, apparently. So this is not like the pickle where you can leave it in for weeks at a time. When you put it in the tanning solution, you have to make sure you're going to be available the next day to take it out. All right, we'll come back tomorrow and get these hides finished up. Okay, so after about 16 hours, I pulled the hides from the tanning solution, I rinsed them, and I hung them up to dry for 20 minutes. And now we're going to do the final step of the actual tanning process before we let them start to dry and break them. I use this Pro Plus oil, which came with the Easy 100 kit. You mix it at a rate of 1 part oil to 2 parts of hot tap water. So I'm just going to pour that in, and we will use a sponge to apply it. So I use the sponge to mix it up. Just going to lay this hide right out on the table. We're going to use this sponge to just paint it on and be generous with it. If you hear that noise in the background, that's one of my goats. Make sure you get any extra thick areas really well around the nose. I do both sides of the nose. Get under those armpits. And that's all there is to it for that process. I'll leave these hang for several hours and just start working them as they dry. When I say working them, I literally work my furs by hand, so I will just stretch as any part of them starts to feel dry. I'll start stretching that out and breaking it, and then once they're getting close to being fully dry, I take a hair dryer on the cool setting to them, fully dry their hair, and then finish breaking them after that. Okay, so I'm ready to blow dry the fur side of my furs. They're still not nearly dry on the inside. But getting the fur dry will help expedite that process so that I can start breaking these hides. All I use to dry the outside of the fur is a dog hair brush and a human hair dryer and a towel. I'm just going to brush this fur out real quick. Help separate the hairs, make them dry faster. And then I'll turn my hair dryer on cool and I'll start drying. There you go, that fur is probably about 95% dry. So that's going to help the skin side start drying. Probably turn this again so I can start working it some more. Now this is going to take a while to dry. This fox fur is thick, thick, thick. Boy, is it thick back here. Just like on a dog. I was a dog groomer for 7 years, so that's why I'm making that reference. Skin side's not quite ready for breaking yet. Oh, a little bit there. You can see that turning white. It's actually getting pretty late, so these'll still be plenty moist in the morning for me to work. The only spot that's really ready to break is the ears, but I actually don't want the ears too soft. I'm going to pin them up and hang them by the nose. And that way the ears will dry in an upright position. So if you have them hanging up on the wall or however you have them laying, the ears will stay upright. But yeah, these will be well ready to break in the morning. If you don't have time to break when they're ready to break, you can put them skin to skin side and roll them up and put them in the refrigerator. And they'll keep for a day or two like that without drying out. But since I'm going to hang them up skin side in, they'll still be supple in the morning. So this fox is fully dried and broken. I just want to show you how pliable it is and how soft it is using this method. So when you really take your time with this method, as you can see, you can get really good results out of it. But this is the most recent fox that I did, and as you can see, it is just completely pliable. The only thing that's not pliable is the head. I don't really do that. I don't work on the head. There's no reason to break the head because it holds its shape better if you let it harden. But even the feet and legs, everything else is completely pliable. That's the other thing that I worked on this week. Now the skunk hides are much thicker and greasier, but it still turned out just absolutely beautiful.